From 1 to 100. This is a podcast where we talk about building your YouTube community from 1, that's you, to 100, so you can make a living doing what you love. On this show, we talk about how to build a business as a YouTube creator in the passion economy. I'm your host, Heather Ramirez, and this is episode 14 of From 1 to 100.
Nice. We're live on multiple channels.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the situation. This is obviously impromptu. We didn't plan this, but I was like, Tom, I have an idea, and we gotta trust the gut, and we're just gonna go. So we're gonna go, and Sammy is letting me know that we're broadcasting to 2 YouTube channels, and we're just gonna go with it. You know, just pick one. It's fine. That's just what happens when you do things on the fly. But we're gonna go with it, and it's actually kind of, I think, based on what we're gonna talk about. If you're watching this on Heather Just Create, just think of it as like the couple's table on the fly in a different room.
I also have no idea what we're talking about. So, but you said though, I'm just gonna grab your mouse on your show and just say that Jack did say we're in the same room, but it's not my room.
I know. So we're in here. How's the audio? You guys sounds good?
Hopefully.
Right. So here's what we're going to talk about, Tom.
Okay.
I thought I had a really good, I think from 1 to 100 is I'm very proud of the 13 episodes, and then I feel like just thoughts have been marinating, and I'm like, oh man, I woke up this morning and I was like, that's a great way to describe it. That's a great way to kind of describe the differences between like the creator economy business model, the passion economy business model, and then we had a little discussion in the kitchen where you were like, you know what, you're really onto something.
Yeah.
Da, da, da. And I was like, you know what, I think that we should talk about it because I want to talk about it with you.
I don't know
anyway.
what we're talking about.
Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. What are your thoughts since the last time you were on this, like on From 1 to 100? Because you came into it not knowing anything.
Right.
And then this morning you were like, you know what? It's like you're really getting it, and you looked at me and you're like, you're such a good example.
Yes.
And like, so can you explain that a little bit?
What I was talking about there is that you're 14 episodes in, and at this point you've gotten messages and comments and emails from people that aren't just the great show, I love it, this, that, but it's really like concrete stuff that people are doing. I heard you say this and now I'm doing this. Like It has affected change in some pretty substantial ways.
Yeah.
On top of that, you know, we've also like launched our community and basically started doing those things that you've been talking about, that like that passion economy business model, and it's gone very well. So I was thinking like, wow, you're 14 episodes in to a relatively new show. But the impact that it's having, it is exactly what you said. You don't need the biggest numbers in the world, but you can go very, very deep with your people. And it's such a perfect example of you doing the thing that you're always talking about, like, which is awesome.
Right. Okay. So here's like, I'm like giddy about it, but I'm nervous to say it because I'm like, this is just a stupid way to think of it. Because my biggest issue is trying to succinctly describe what the passion economy business model is. And I felt like I spent an hour and a half explaining why it's important and like why I'm passionate about it, but still not, you know, if someone were to explain, or if I was supposed to explain it really quickly, I can't do it. I have trouble still. So here's like one way that I thought of it. Are you working for YouTube? Or is YouTube working for you? Go ahead. Does that make sense though?
It does make sense. Yeah, it absolutely does make sense.
So here's like how I would explain it. Yesterday we were looking at different you know, like successful channels in the YouTube space, and even other YouTube I don't know what we call ourselves. Advisors, yeah, like YouTube thought leaders and YouTube coaches and experts and authority figures, like people who teach other people how to do YouTube, right? So we were looking at the different approaches and stuff, and we clearly there was a difference, right? Like there's ways that People would do it, and we do the total
Right.
opposite. And I was trying to, like, my point is that there isn't one way to do YouTube, and especially if you want to take the, like, let's get the gold play button and just like maximize views and subscribers. It's just a very different approach than like from what we do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that saying it like, oh, if you are working for YouTube, it's a hard game, right? Because so YouTube, they frame their successes on like, we want to reward you getting 100,000 subscribers, and we want to reward you getting with a gold play button, and like we want, but also if you take our YouTube Creator Academy, and if you learn from us and you subscribe to our newsletters, it's all about how to maximize AVD and watch time and views, and like it's all about helping you generate more watch time on your channels on their platform, right? And I was thinking about it, like, when I followed that model, I was like so creator burnout.
Mm-hmm.
Like I hate it. It was so hard. It's so hard to, like, I don't know. It's just a hard game, and I think it works for some people, but for me it was just really hard.
Well, you were talking about motivation, and when you were
right.
playing that game, you were struggling with motivation of like, I know I need to do this, but what do I do, and how do I'm just sort of feeling lost. Because
it's hard when you are, especially when you're still building that audience, where you have the eagerness to create, mm-hmm. and you invest in equipment, you invest in programs to help you level up your skills. You put your all into, I'm going to live stream every day, I'm going to daily vlog, I'm going to do this, I'm going to build a whole channel. And I don't know if it's like, they're just, you could do all that and still not succeed by YouTube standards, right? You could still just never cross 100 subscribers, let alone 1,000 and beyond.
Yeah.
You can do your best and still never get there, unfortunately. And there's people who don't do any of that and get there very easily. And I hate that. Like, I hate that. I don't think that's
it's very frustrating and stressful to like be in that, because what the example I was saying was like, well, if you work an hourly job, you put in X amount of hours, you get X amount of whatever.
Exactly.
And I'm not advocating for like, boy, I wish I had an hourly job.
Right.
Not at all. But there's at least a way to measure, if you sell a physical product and you're like, well, if I make 10 more products, then I have 10 more products to sell. Like, it's a very linear in, out. Whereas with this, there is none of that. You could go, okay, I'm going to make a video every day, and your channel does nothing. And you could do one video a month and your channel blows up. And there's no way to figure out why.
So to me, that's like the reality of just being a YouTube creator. Of course, we're going to see, the MrBeast and them, but like we're, I think that's I would never think that I could ever have mass appeal like that. So like, I'm never going to ever look at myself like that. And it's not because I don't like believe in myself or anything. I just don't want to do that. And then that got me thinking, okay, so when someone decides that their hobby and their side thing is going to be YouTube, right? On top of family, obligations, work, and everything. So you're dedicating your extra time, wherever you can find it, to this YouTube thing. And your success is based on what YouTube wants you to, on YouTube wants. You're basically working for YouTube, right? And just as a boss, YouTube sucks. Like, they're terrible. They don't tell you what like actually works. They don't give you any feedback. They don't care about you, because you're just like one of literally millions. And they say, oh, hey, like creator mental health, we really care. It's like, yeah, but you're also telling everyone, hey, here's all the, you log on to Creator Studio and like all the
downward arrows.
Yeah, the downward arrows. And it's like, gee. And then on the flip side, if YouTube is working for you, let me tell you something. YouTube is the best employee. And I'll tell you why, okay?
I like that. I like that.
I'll tell you why. So, and I'm marketing. That's my background. And no one, nothing, no budget, like, I'm always going to believe this. I think that YouTube is the best marketing effort you could ever do. It's the cheapest. To me, it's the easiest. Every single one of your videos is a 24/7 marketing robot that is singing your praises for as long as that video is on your channel. Just going, right? And basically your YouTube channel is a marketing army telling people about your message, telling people about the thing that you're passionate about, telling people about your story. And every single video you put out there is an opportunity to be discovered by people all around the world. That's awesome. And I have literally helped people build businesses and, really create an impact that they never would have been able to make if not for YouTube.
Right.
But it's different when YouTube is working for you and you tell YouTube, no, this is what I want. And here's how I want to do it. And here's how I define success. Versus you're just one of the creators that works for YouTube. Mm-hmm. And you're helping generate watch time and it's on their terms and they define success. They give you zero individual feedback. And here you are with the best intentions, like trying to do your best, and maybe it works, or maybe you see a bunch of gray arrows.
Right.
And that's I think it's a hard place to be. I don't know. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And a lot of it, even beyond YouTube, just in situations, because I'm even thinking of like, whether it's like a work thing or a relationship thing or whatever it might be, when two people like go head to head and one person just kind of goes like, you know what, like you do you, whatever you're gonna do, you do that. That's almost, I don't mean like in like a relationship thing, but when
right.
stuff comes to a head or you're arguing with an employer,
oh right, it's like, okay, do whatever
things
you
come
want.
to a head and you're like say you have a job you don't like and you're really upset that like they're changing my schedule, they're
right.
changing my pay, they're doing this, and you're constantly going to like your supervisor and you're bringing this up, doing all that kind of stuff. That's when they really start messing with you, where it's like, now we're really, you don't want to work afternoons, we're only going to schedule you afternoons. You want that 25-cent raise an hour, we're only going to give you 15 cents. Like, there's going to be all these little things, which is very stupid. It's just how the world works. But then if you're the person who goes, yeah, I don't like this, but like, whatever. You schedule me at night, I'll be here at night. You schedule me in the morning, I'll be here in the morning. Like, I don't care. Like, not I don't care, but like, I'm not going to give you even that power over me. I'm doing my own thing over here, and I'll be fine, and I'll do whatever you throw at me. That's oftentimes where then it's like being in a position of power, because you're just deflecting everything they're throwing at you. That's a bad example, but I don't know how to phrase it otherwise. And so the same thing's true with YouTube, because when I think of when people just start out, myself included, and it's just a fun thing. You're just making videos.
Right.
And and
it's exciting, and it's awesome.
Yeah, I don't want to say you don't care, because you want
right.
your videos to get views, you want your channel to grow, but there's so much more about like the fact that you're making the video, the fact that you're putting it out there. That's like where the excitement comes from. And as things develop, then obviously you want to keep improving. You want to understand, and if you see a little bit of success, you want to like, well, what did I do that was right? Like, I'll keep doing that.
Of course.
But the problem is like the rules of the game just keep changing at any point in time, and I really don't want to be the YouTube complainer person. Like, I really, 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 really don't.
We love YouTube,
but
like, that's never going to change, I don't think.
The part for me is what I would like to be able to do is literally like make YouTube videos. And that's what I have to do. Like, I just come up with ideas, put them together, put them out there. Through that generates revenue, that, the channel grows and does all that, and I feel good. And that's what I get to spend the vast majority of my time on, is that. That's what I want. That's what I want. And that's what I have wanted for a long time. The sad thing is, especially over the last like 6 months or so, that's just not possible. And that's good.
What do you mean it's not possible?
Because all it takes is one. I did a podcast with Peter Lindgren today, and we talked about this thing. Like, at the same exact time, both of our channels over the course of a week died. like views cut in less than half. You're getting 40% of what you used to get. That's not you making stuff that people lost interest in. That's suddenly the platform deciding, nope, something else. How do you navigate that? And I know we're not even the only two that dealt with that, because virtually every person I know as a channel has been dealing with that. How do you navigate that? You can't. You have to then start bringing in other stuff. So that's when you have to go like, okay, well, I need courses, I need other offerings, I need like other ways to generate revenue, I need to take on sponsorships. Like, you can't rely on the platform because it's so unbelievably fickle with no explanation, which is very, very frustrating, because then, I mean, it's not frustrating. The reason it's frustrating for me is because that's what I wanted to do, was that. But that's not possible, which is good, because then it forces me to quit my job at YouTube and then hire YouTube as my employee, which is just, it's a different framework. And you're 100% right. Like, you can do that with much smaller numbers than you would typically think. You're proof of that. The show is proof of that. Half the people in the community are proof of, like, yeah, you can do things on your own terms. But the hard part for me is there's still very much a part of me that is like, I really do want a silver play button.
And that's fine.
I'm not gonna like sacrifice, I'm not gonna MrBeast it to get there, but like, I want to do it on my own terms. But I really actually do, and to say like I don't care about that, I don't want that, would be not true, because I actually really do. And I kind of wish I didn't as much, but I do.
Yeah, and I'm not saying like,
you're not condemning it, but I'm just explaining from my point of view of like, I want to go all in as a YouTube creator, to the reality of like, actually it needs to be the thing that you're using to do whatever your bigger goal is, and it's your tool that you're using. It's not the thing that's in charge.
Right.
It is a shift. And yeah.
So this is why I wanted to do an episode together, because I don't want the plaque, but you do. And I think that we're kind of good examples of both sides of the spectrum. And that's why I wanted to bring you on here, because, well, you're the biggest YouTuber I know.
I'm so sorry.
But then also, you're friends with people who have like multiple
Those are the
hundreds,
biggest YouTubers
thousands.
we know,
Yeah. So you have a lens into the like, like Peter Lindgren is someone who, is 500,000 subscribers at this point, and is so much of the model of the sponsorships, the affiliates, and the YouTube ads. And so, I want to make sure that, this is why I'm so careful. Like, I'm not saying that one way is better than the other, but this is what I was telling you. You and Peter started your channels at the same time. Mm-hmm. You guys are both very talented. You're both very dedicated.
We grew at the exact same rate.
You grew at the exact same rate. I would say that you treated both of your channels like with the same amount of dedication. And he is now at 500,000 and you're at 75,000.
72.
And like, it kills me to see you get discouraged by gray numbers from YouTube, and I feel like, okay, this is where I'm like, yeah, YouTube sucks at a boss, because it's literally telling you that you're not meeting the
it's setting up a bunch of invisible guidelines and then dinging you when you don't meet them, but you never knew what they were.
And like, it just sucks, because like, I think anybody here who knows your channel has probably spent money on getting some kind of tool that is probably empowering them to create, right? So they have a new microphone, they have a new video thing, they learned a new skill, and they're creating something that they would not have been able to do without your help. Mm-hmm. And I think that is magical.
Yeah.
And the fact that we could do that is awesome. And this is why I want to...
Well, that's where...
It's awesome when YouTube is working for you.
Because it is, if you have that shift, which I've been trying to... I guess I didn't frame it this way, but it's what I've been trying to do in my own mind, is like, well, I'm having fun making my videos. I'm proud of the videos. I learn something new in every video I make, like how to do something, or I get a little bit better. And even if the numbers aren't where they were or where I'd want them to be, the comments and the messages I get from people are really good. Like, the the videos have a
Right,
98%
there's
like ratio.
crazy
Like
engagement.
people like them.
Right.
They're helpful. I get emails from people like that are long stories about what they're working through and what they're trying to do and how the channel or the video helped and whatever. And I try to like really focus on that's awesome and crazy. And if that is my goal is just to be able to do that, then it's a win. It's a 100% win.
Right.
If the goal is to always have the arrows turn green, it's a huge failure.
Yeah, because here's the thing with the stupid green arrows is like it's literally comparing your growth from the past 10 videos. So you always have to level up in order for them to be green. You can't just like maintain. You have to keep.
I have an issue. I've always had an issue in the business world.
That's not healthy.
With that people aren't comfortable maintaining, meaning like if you have a business, a channel, whatever, you might have your goal point of where you want to get, but then you get there and it just sort of seems like, well, now we opened our restaurant, it's successful, we need a second location. And it's like, cool if that's ultimately what you want, but there is nothing wrong actually with deciding what you want, getting there, and then going, sweet, like, maintain. Who cares? Like, that's completely fine. Unless you're an automated algorithm that's going to evaluate people on whether they're growing or not, and not growing is bad.
Right.
Then it's bad.
Yeah.
But the thing, I don't know, that's a whole separate thing. But anyway, I've been trying to have that shift of really remembering what the impact that you can have regardless of what the numbers are. If the number is 1, you can have a huge impact there, and balancing that out with the like.
Yeah, but it's not just impact, because like we're not a charity, right? So I'm not by no means am I saying like, okay, if someone leaves you a nice comment, like it's, that made it all worth it.
That does not pay our mortgage.
Yeah, exactly. Like especially if we're trying to, if you're in for YouTube to have it be a source of income, whether that's part-time, side hustle, full-time, whatever it is that you want to be, that's a very serious thing, and you can be successful at that. And the thing that, like, the reason why I'm harping on this so much is because if that's the goal, right? Like, if your goal is to have a sustainable, substantial source of income, whether that's part-time or full-time, and you want to generate that income creating content about the thing that you're obsessed over or you're passionate about, you can do all 3 of those things without needing a giant audience. Like, it's just, my arrows haven't been green in like years. Like, I can't even, like, I don't
heard rumors of a green arrow.
I don't see them. I've never even seen green
what
arrows.
I wish though is, I genuinely wish, and this is where like, hey YouTube, you could take action, let us turn that crap off. Like, let me decide when I'm gonna see that, not by default when I'm checking YouTube Studio because I want to go add subtitles to a video or reply to a comment or do something that literally has nothing to do with the numbers, but the first thing I see when I go in are numbers, whether I want to or not. Like, let me collapse that, shrink that window up or whatever. Like, why does it have to be the thing that's just like right here? You want to do anything else? Oh, but you're really bad at it. You're really bad at this. You want to do something, but you're so bad at it. And it's like, go and let me just do the thing I want to do.
Yeah. And it makes me sad because I see a lot of talented, amazing, driven people who have very important stories and messages to share. And then YouTube is a hard game to play. Like, when you play it this way, YouTube could seriously be the worst boss you've ever had. Like, just straight up. It's not cool. But if you think of it as like, okay, this is my side hustle, right? You're going to start there, and you can, you're very passionate about, like, I don't know.
Well, I mean, you have access to everything. You could start a channel right
whatever,
now with 0 subscribers, 0 videos. You could live stream immediately. Like, you have to verify your phone number or something. And
no, but I'm saying, like.
But what I mean is, as a tool, it's so powerful and it doesn't,
for sure.
And it doesn't care. You don't need. Well, I guess for some things you need certain levels, but for the basic stuff, you don't need any threshold to be met other than creating your account.
I can't ban this person. Hold on.
I shouldn't laugh, but it's so stupid and ridiculous.
How do I,
who even are you?
I don't know. I need to find my other thing. Did someone take care of that?
No, I don't know.
I think so. Okay, anyway. Or could you do it in here?
You can do it right here.
I think you do.
I'll try to do. You do your thought.
Okay,
I'll figure it out.
I forgot what I was saying. Oh yeah. So if you go into YouTube thinking of it as a tool, right? Like as your employee. Because you know what's crazy about YouTube is that it will work for you for free. Like, how crazy is that?
Yeah.
That's why I say it's a robot. You could literally build a robot marketing army that is going to sing your praises 24/7, right? So, like, even in your sleep, this is what happens to me. Even while I'm taking a nap on the couch, someone can book a consultation with me. Or someone can join the Just Create More community, or someone can buy my online course while I'm napping, while I'm sleeping, while I'm hanging out, while I'm making videos, while I'm on vacation. Like, for sure, it is that's why I think that nothing comes even close. I think it's better than ads. I think it's better than, like, you know, other typical advertising and marketing efforts. I think YouTube is the best because it literally can connect you with the exact right people. But if you go into it like I want to be a YouTuber, like it's just hard. It's just hard. Like you gotta,
Yeah.
I don't know. So,
But I mean, if that is your goal though, like if that's a thing where you're like, I want to be a YouTuber, like you are if you upload a video. Like there's no other threshold. I know like you might have set one or someone might have told you something, but if you're uploading a video, boom, you're a YouTuber and you can claim that, you can check off that achievement, but then you can decide on your own terms how you want to continue to approach things.
yeah. Did you take it?
Well, Josh did, but yeah.
Oh,
We have good moderators. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. Thanks. So the other thing that I wanted to share today is the reason why I wanted to like do an impromptu episode, because my next episode I have a guest, and then the next week I might have another guest, and I was like, I'm not gonna do a solo episode for a really long time, and then I was like, I don't want this thought to go away. Okay, so here's one trend. The biggest change creators are facing is that gradually they won't need to rely as much on brands as they shift to become direct to consumer businesses. But they need the right tools in place so they can reach their full business potential. Like, that's crazy, right? So if we think like early days of YouTube's like, yeah, everyone wants to create for us. But now it's like, I think they're realizing that people are coming to YouTube and looking at YouTube as a tool. And if you don't work for me, I'm going to go to TikTok. Or if you don't work for me, I'm going to go to Twitch. So it's like, I think all the major creator platforms are realizing that, or the way I should say it is, creators are now more empowered than ever. But I don't think that creators are realizing that this shift is happening, which is why I want to talk about it. And I think this is true, right? Like, I think before we needed our numbers to be green. We needed to rely on increasing audience in order to see the success, so that if we were going to get the money from affiliates or YouTube ads or from brands and sponsorships, like that all relies on increasing numbers. But now we're going direct to consumer. Like Just Create More, the Just Create More community. You guys can pay us directly.
You can pay us.
I know, I don't mean it that way. I hope you know I hope you guys know I don't mean it that way. But I'm saying, like, I don't need YouTube numbers to grow in order for me to make an impact and make a living doing what I love. You know, does that mean that I have to put out good content? Heck yes. Does that mean I still need to be like a good YouTube creator? Yes. Like, all of that still applies. I still need a good looking camera, good sounding audio. Like, all of that still applies. But do I have to like take out timestamps so that people watch the full video and don't skip around or whatever? No. Like,
right, the opposite.
That's the difference. Why are you laughing?
Just that example is funny.
How are we doing in the chat?
There's a lot.
Okay, so let's jump in
and
let's. So is the chat from both showing
It is
up in
from
here?
both,
Okay,
yes.
So here we go.
El Jefe Reviews said, agreed. YouTube moves the goalpost. It's frustrating as heck, but I love it, so I keep coming back for more punishment. Yeah, I mean, that, because, well, like, quitting isn't an option, you know? So
So I wasn't gonna do this, but I feel
We can take the comment.
like we should. Do you know what I'm gonna do?
Are you gonna do the thing?
Maybe I shouldn't.
Well, now you've teased it. Like, you can't. Now it's irrelevant if it's a good idea or not. You have it. What is it? Chekhov's gun. Like, you took it out. Now you got to do something with it. You know.
Well, you just had that face like you shouldn't do this.
I don't know 100% what you're doing.
I just want to show who's there.
Sure.
Okay, so here's okay. So obviously I feel hesitant to share this, but I'm just to hit the point home, and heck, I named people yesterday, so let's just continue the trend. So
Welcome to Heather calls out 1 to 100 people every time.
So okay, here's Vidsummit, right? And like Vidsummit what is Vidsummit, Tom?
Well, I mean, if you think of VidCon, where it's a YouTube conference, but the fan element isn't there, and it's creators and brands, and it's the people behind the scenes dealing. I mean, obviously, very marketing centric, very business centric.
Here we go. Vidsummit Live is where the world's top video influencers, video marketers, and brands reveal everything they know about video into sales. So there you go. And we have a picture of Daryl Eves, MrBeast, and Shonduras. Who is Vidsummit for? Video creators and influencers, marketers, agencies, brands, and business owners. There you go. Yeah. So the reason why I'm pointing this out is because Vidsummit in the YouTube creator world is like a really big event.
It's held in pretty high regard.
Yes, it's held in pretty high regard. VidCon is like fun and cool, but there's such a big component of VidCon is the fan aspect, where
they even say right there, it's not a place where influencers connect with their fans.
Yeah, so this is not like a VidCon, right? And that's cool. It's cool that there's an event or a conference or a convention just for like people like us, like everyone who's like creating, right?
It's like an industry side of
But
things.
here's like the thing that I was talking about yesterday that obviously I was like nervous to put out there, and then I woke up and I was like, I don't know why I held back. Let's just, put it out there. So here's their featured speakers, okay? They're featured speakers. And I'm just going to scroll through and I'm going to show you, just look, okay? I just want to make sure that you can see this list there, okay? Boom, 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 boom. Do you guys see that? Okay. So here's like one problem I have. There's only one female on this featured speakers list. Mind you, there's females down here, which is great. Okay. There's only one as the featured speaker. And then if we go to her channel, actually, here's what we're going to do first. So this is Pearson. I have no idea who she is. Never heard of her. But if we scroll down to her, she's the only female featured speaker, right? And if we go down to her talk, which is down here, here is her talk's description. Pearson is a 22-year-old content creator from Los Angeles, California. She has amassed an audience of over 13 million in just 1 year. She's a fun-loving personality and enjoys making content, watching The Office, playing poker, and going on road trips. Okay, then let's go to her channel. She's got 2 million subscribers and 91 videos. And just like, you tell me what you think of like this channel, right? If we go to the About section, there's nothing. She's got 171 million views. So like
Jesus.
insane numbers, right? Like I can't even imagine how much money she's making just from one video. So definitely like the other side of creator economy, you're doing brand deals, you're doing, YouTube ads, you're making $1,000 per video, and that's awesome. But like literally I couldn't even tell you just from like scrolling through what her channel is about. And there's nothing wrong with that, but with the people that we work with, right? They literally can't have this happen. Like, they can't create this type of content. They can't, like, breaking the dumbest world records, like, you know, or like waking her up with 50 alarm clocks. It's very much the like shock factor of like surviving in her closet for 24 hours.
I mean, I'm
like,
gonna guess the
oh
average age of the viewer of this channel is probably like 12 or something.
Yeah, and like that's fine. But
no, I know, but I mean you're gonna create content that's gonna make a 12-year-old go like, dang, or an 11-year-old or whatever. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but like it's different than. It's just like, okay, let's put it this way: have the channel be whatever you want about. What on earth is that talk about? Like, be young, pretty, and popular, and you can have success too. If you're a white person in LA, okay, cool. So what about everybody else? Like,
that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm just gonna keep saying that. I feel stupid saying this, but I'm gonna say it again. That's why I feel like there should be a differentiation, because I'm not hating. I'm not saying that that's not the way to do it, and obviously it's working for her, so go. And if you want to do that too, go do it. But also, I don't want people to think that if this is what they're saying at Vidsummit, which is a highly regarded convention for YouTube creators, that's the way you have to do it. Like, that's not the only way you have to do it. You could totally be cool with 1,000 subscribers, 100, which is the name of the show, and you can make a living doing what you love. You won't be the richest, probably. You won't be the most famous, but like, you could still do a lot. You could still do so much. You could do probably everything that you want to do. Unless you also want the silver play button, and then that's a different.
But I mean, you can
story.
get the play button on your own terms. We also got a nice little super chat here. Thank you, sir. Always appreciate it. I don't have the thing.
Oh, the sound effects here. Can you turn up the volume?
Oh.
Just click on the side.
I'm using a thing that's not mine. There it is.
Sorry, that must have been. I think that was really loud.
I'm going in and I'm trying to just mark all the comments that have been relevant. Oh, Coffee Talking Tech also.
John, you rock.
Da.
This takes guts to give this info. Does everyone realize this? I appreciate you saying these things. Let me tell you, I'm very nervous. This is why I didn't say it yesterday. Like, I talked about it, but I didn't say it because I don't want to, upset anyone or especially like in my niche of YouTube coaching. There's only so many of us, like there's like 100 at most, and I would never put down my peers. Like, here's the thing. Here's the reason why I especially would never hate on it. Pearson, MrBeast, Sean Duras, Daryl Eves, like people who work with massive YouTube creators, 1 million plus, YouTube would not be what it is if not for them. That's where most of the money is being generated. So this conversation wouldn't be happening if not for them. They drive a lot of the activity of what happens on YouTube, which drives the development of these tools, which drives people to the platform, which it elevates everybody. So please do not get me wrong when, if I'm calling people out, it's not, I have a lot of respect, and I 100% acknowledge that I would not be able to do from 1 to 100 if it weren't for them doing their millions, for sure.
Yeah.
But the point that I want to hit home is, like, if you say you're new, like, okay, post quarantine, I'm gonna become a YouTube creator, I'm gonna go to Vidsummit, and I'm gonna blow up my channel because I'm excited by taking notes and all these things, and you come home and that's the world. That's literally, it's like, this is what you have to do. I just want to be like, you know what? If your channel, like Aubrey, okay, I don't know if Aubrey's here. I had a fantastic coaching call with Aubrey, Simply Obs, on YouTube this morning, and she was over the moon. I wish you guys could have seen it. She was like, I only have 100-something subscribers and I feel so successful. And she was like, she's had a traumatic brain injury, and I think if you're a part of this community, you probably have heard Aubrey talk about this before. She has a YouTube channel where she had a 5% chance to live after getting into a cycling accident. And her YouTube channel is life after after having gone through a traumatic brain injury. And one of the things that she wants to do on her channel is to kind of give hope to other people who have had a traumatic brain injury. Guess what? Do you know how many people have traumatic brain injuries? Not that many people. Probably not 100,000. And if they do, not all people who go through a traumatic brain injury can still watch YouTube videos or whatever.
Right.
You know, so the way that Aubrey's going to approach YouTube is going to be totally different from Pearson. It's just going to be different. And like, that's what I want to elevate. I just want other creators who are just by nature of what they're talking about and by nature of what their content is about. Like me, you're probably just never going to have that mass appeal, but you could 100% still build a business around your story, and you could still make a living doing what you love, and you could still sell a transformational product or service. You could still, you know, create life-changing impact on people. And if you go into YouTube with that spirit of like, oh, I want to do something bigger than myself, you know, like you have this side hustle, this side thing. Like, all of us remember what it's like to make our first YouTube video, or to be really excited, like, I'm going to do this YouTube thing. And that like, you know, excitement for giving yourself the permission to do YouTube, it goes away when you start uploading and you realize like, I'm not getting the growth. It just feels like nothing's working. And then you lose the motivation, and it's just this, you go into the creator mental health, creator burnout thing because you're not meeting the standards of success of YouTube. And it's just like, well, no. Instead, if you're on a mission to inspire other people who have gone through traumatic brain injury, to show them what life could be like and to give them hope while they're in the hospital recovering, like, let YouTube work for you. You are on a mission, and YouTube could help you spread that mission and connect you to people that you're never going to cross paths with, if not for the global reach that is YouTube. So flip it. You know what I mean?
Flip it. Preach.
Okay, I'm done.
That was good. I didn't want to interrupt. I was just trying to like organize comments. But there was a thing that
I'm scared to look at the comments.
No.
I'm so nervous.
Steve just pointed out, well, Steve said, I didn't see any person of color in that lineup as well. And so James and Mark also said, hey, not a lot of diversity in those speakers.
So here's what we're going to do.
It's basically all white guys.
I told Tom this. Okay, this isn't going to happen anytime soon, but 100% this is going to be a long-term goal. We're going to make our own Vidsummit. We are going to create a in-person YouTube creator event, a live and in-person event that's like for YouTube creators who have like our philosophy and our approach to YouTube creation, where YouTube is a tool to help you do the thing. YouTube is a tool to help you make a living, to help you be able to quit your full-time job and like, you know, do really cool stuff, but without having to like, I don't know what they do over there. I don't even know what they. I'm curious. I want to go to Vidsummit just to hear what they are saying.
I would bet that I would go to Vidsummit and walk away with a ton of really great stuff, but it's not the contents necessarily so much as the packaging of it and the context, not the contents. That's right. Jack said, the green arrow I get most excited about is average watch time. It's not the only motivator, but I would be I'd be lying if I said it was something I didn't care about. Well, and that's a viewer-centric one, because your average watch time means like, hey, the viewers are, you know, the stuff I'm making is for them. Look at this. Arslan said, I'm making a video just about every day, and that goes to Tom. I bought my first Rodecaster, and I can't think of a better mentor. That's amazing. Like, and that with whatever my numbers are, then I could still connect with you in that way. And I know you said you can do justcreatemore.com if you want to join our community.
Oh, yeah. Hang out with us at justcreatemore.com. I promise you, the other thing I really want to put up front is, like, I know we talk about our stuff all the time, but I promise you we're only doing it as case studies.
It's just what we know.
Yeah, like, I promise it's not, like, don't feel like you need to, you know, buy our stuff.
Yeah. Oh, look, Peter Gregg.
Peter Gregg. What's up, Peter?
Here's a counterpoint surprise. I'm anti-Vidsummit. These people at the top are ungenuine, unrespecting of others, and have shown to be walking bad word here. Told you this was a contrarian point of view. I don't know if it's totally contrarian point of view. I have my own opinions.
See, so for me, it goes back to there are a lot of companies and brands and, you know, like I said, the MrBeast of the world that are going to be going to Vidsummit, and 100% YouTube would not, we would not be able to do this if not for them, right? So I think it's just about recognizing, which is what I just wish more people could do this, recognizing that, like, even though some kind of event or online course or book or e-guide or tutorial channel or whatever says that it's about helping you grow your YouTube channel, there's definitely different philosophies and approaches. And here, I would argue, I don't even think there's any best practices, because you will always find someone who's the exception to the rule on YouTube. So someone can say, take out your timestamps, and someone will say, put in the timestamps. Like, it just depends so much on your delivery, which is the best thing about YouTube, is that it's called YouTube, right? So however you want to create the experience for your viewers and share your unique message, that's the hard part, but that's the fun part. But it takes the patience and the willingness to want to explore that and to do trial and error. But none of this would be possible if they weren't making money. It would just, the business would just die, you know?
James and Mark said, I see people setting themselves up for disappointment because the expectations starting out are lofty and they compare themselves to others, but they don't realize that it's a process to get from point A to point B.
It's truth.
Better be, leave it. And Jeff said, which is interesting, I agree they need to fix the featured section. There are many awesome female creators, including his own friend Snubs. They snub Snubs.
They snub Snubs.
Which is like, see, this is sort of, I mean, I'll get on my little soapbox, whatever, but
get on
this
it.
is where I do have an issue, is because there are, if you go through the list of people, like, there's female creators, there's creators of color, there's, you know, it's a relatively diverse thing. We even went through and looked at the time slots to kind of see, like, well, what are the, you know, what are the high ticket time slots versus the low ones, who got scheduled where. Honestly, it seems very fairly spread out overall. Mostly white guys. I don't think you can get around that. But there is more diversity, but it's not in the featured. It's not what's being featured. And I don't know what goes into someone being featured, but this kind of ties into one of the issues that I have just with the information that's being shared. So I will talk about MrBeast for a second, which I'm scared to do. Because,
oh my god, my channel is going to die. You're going to kill me.
I'm not talking about if you like MrBeast, if you whatever, because there's a few things about him that are not, you can't argue with. They're objective facts. He's incredibly good at what he does. He knows how to frame things and position things in really interesting ways that people are drawn to, and he's got a personality for it. Like, you know, there's a whole combination of things there that are just objective facts, which is fine. You can't argue with his objective success on the platform. The problem is when it is positioned as MrBeast is a YouTube creator and you are a YouTube creator, because guess what? You guys are not playing the same game at all. You could say, like, well, he does thumbnails and I do thumbnails. True. But, like,
he also has a team of 20 people.
And the part that gets to me is when, I don't care if someone has a team. Marquez Brownlee's a really good example of someone with, like, 15 million subscribers or something, has a team of people. And the team is very much part of what he does. Like, he constantly spotlights the team and what they do, versus kind of making it seem like it's me, or it's me and my friend and we're doing everything. But there is actually, like, you know, there are people negotiating huge deals to make things happen behind the scenes, but then we're just going to pitch out as like, this crazy thing happened, right? Oh, it's crazy. And that makes it feel like, well, I could do crazy thing too. I like crazy things. But you're not, it's just not, I feel like that is setting people up for failure, because they think like, this person is just like me, but they did it. And the reason I'm using MrBeast as an example is because I think everything could fall into that. You could look at Casey Neistat, who largely did things on his own, but he had such a background of connections and networking, and like, yeah, it is a daily vlog that he made, filmed, did everything by himself, but he also had the connections where, like, the daily vlog could include a crazy trip or a celebrity or whatever, most of us don't have that, but you do have the ability to, like, speaking of Peter Lindgren, be inspired by Casey Neistat, do vlogs about your world, and then build an audience because you had the ability to frame it in a certain way. Like, it does exist, but just not in the way, like, when MrBeast says, I bought a whole car dealership with the cars or whatever, you can bet he wasn't the one sitting there signing all the paperwork. Like, no 22-year-old can buy 50 cars and stay sane or even figure that out. Like, that's where, you know, there's a team of people handling all the details, which is fine. That's how it has to be. Avengers can't be made by one person, right? Like,
right, exactly.
There's thousands of people in those credits that go on, but Avengers isn't trying to say, like, we just some of our friends, we just turned on the camera, made a little movie. It's like, it was a little more than that. And I think it's important to acknowledge that so that people do have those realistic expectations. And then you can decide, do you need a team? Do you need to assemble your Avengers to do what you need to do? Or is it something you could do on your own? Sorry, that's my thing. Just because I don't like seeing people get discouraged. The example I use is if you go to the grocery store and there's the magazines at the checkout stand where all the celebrities look like perfect on them. And while a celebrity might be, like, objectively physically fit and stuff in person, they don't even look that perfect and that flawless and that chiseled in real life. And then people look at that and they go, like, I guess I should just work out because then I could look like that. And it's like, dude, that person doesn't look like that. Like, you can't look like that. Nobody looks like that. So, just whatever. I'm yelling at the wall now.
Let's see. You're unhiding them, right, when you're done?
Yes.
Okay. There are so many paths to success, and making your own path in itself is success in my book. Casey,
yes.
Heather, and Tom. Thank you, Jared. Preach.
Wait, have I got sweaty pits? I got sweaty pits.
Do you have sweaty
pits? I got a little passionate there.
It's the heart you put in, and I love your energy while you guys are at it. I mostly follow the tech reviews. I love the human connection.
Well, that's I think at the core of it.
At the core of
whatever your philosophy is, whatever your goal is, like, just remembering how freaking cool it is to be able to, like, have an idea to have a live stream, turn on a camera and do it, and have people from all over the world talk. Like, amazing. And you just have to have an internet connection to do that. Like,
oh, here we go. Thank you, Kimmy. She's part of the Brent Rivera Instagram crew. Her channel was basically prefaced after her IG success.
Well, I figured because it said...
So she started from Instagram then.
Well, if her claim on her thing, the only thing about her talk was that she has 13 million followers. Cool. What are you going to talk about? But there's 2 million on YouTube, so the rest have to come from...
I hate how, like, that's the only reason why you're here at this talk.
Right.
Is because you have that. What do you mean? Like
you didn't even put a description into the talk. It's just like your Instagram bio is your talk. I bet if you go to Instagram, that's her bio.
I mean, at least Legal Eagle is millions, of YouTube subscribers says, like, here's how you use copyright content, or, like, how to handle copyright content. Like, there's a purpose.
Well, it's right below hers. You can see, like, oh, here, I'm doing a talk. I will, here's my whole thing.
You two are way cuter. Oh, goodness. Let's see. We did this one. I feel Tom did the right thing with the YouTube ethics approach. Long run, trust over money will be the winning combo.
Yeah, it's a long game.
This is Raphael. You said it perfectly right here. YouTube is more akin to freelancing and business ownership. That's it. So, but the thing is, people don't know that when they first go in, right? They think, oh, YouTuber. Because obviously you hear about YouTube from, like, other big channels, and so you're always, your perception of YouTube is based on, like, the really big channels, and when you're like, oh wait, so there is no barrier to entry, like, as soon as I upload a video, I'm done. A YouTuber too. Yeah. But if you think of it this way, YouTube is more akin to freelancing and business ownership, and YouTube is working for you, not you working for YouTube. You are the boss, right? And you get to dictate what YouTube does, how you want to do your channel. Like, it's a tool. It should be a tool, and you should be empowered to think of it as, like, you're using YouTube to share your message and connect with people for a purpose, right?
People and purpose.
Let's see. It's the MrBeast way of YouTube, the crazy editing, the text on screen, constant sound effects. Not everyone wants to watch that, let alone make that.
You know what's funny? This is going off of this comment, but it shows the difference in these things. Is one of my favorite things to watch on YouTube are like the documentary stuff people do about Disneyland rides and Disneyland history and stuff like that. Because there's several channels out there like Defunct Land and Offhand Disney and Alex the Historian. Well, they'll go in and they'll just take so much time and show you all these different things. And Disney Plus recently launched a series called like Behind the Attraction, where it's like their version of that, where they're gonna go in and dive into Behind the Attraction, and I can't watch it because like to me it's unwatchable, because they like, I feel like they are at the point where they're like people aren't going to want to watch a whole thing about rides, so literally every interview is like interrupted every 2 seconds. And the reason I even know this is because I was listening to Talking Simpsons, one of their podcasts, and they had the exact same complaint that I did, where like literally every interview, like the person will say like, well, the ride was supposed to be a crazy attraction, and then literally it's like sprawling, boing, during, like it goes over here to like this attraction thing. It's like cartoon sound effects every 3 seconds, and then the narrator's even like, well, in the world of Disney, who would want to go on the Jungle Cruise? And it's like, why are you talking like that? I would much rather watch a YouTube video that somebody made in their bedroom that's just like, the Jungle Cruise was a ride that started here. It wasn't supposed to be jokey at first, but over the years, it kind of became what it is now. Let's talk about it. Oh, cool. But point being is that, like, Raphael was talking about, like, the crazy sound effects and fast editing, and it's like, that's just not... That was, when I said, like, her audience is 12-year-olds, it wasn't to be insulting to 12-year-olds. It was just talking about the sensibility of the audience. Like, someone who's older than that, 30s, 40s, 50s, beyond,
exactly, dude.
They're probably going to want something that's just a little more, like, down to earth and a little more, like...
And here's the thing, right? Here's why I'm so passionate about this. Because a lot of the people that I work with as a YouTube coach are like career changers, right? 22-year-old Pearson has been on Instagram since she was in high school. A lot of us have had to, like you grew up in audio video. I did not, and I don't have the same, like, gearhead passion or whatever. I've just had to kind of learn it all on my own. And there's so many of you where I see you learning how to edit. I see you learning, like, what the heck is an f-stop and, like, lighting and so I see that like you're scratching the itch because you're so passionate. You're giving yourself this chance to do this. And, like, I just think that the approach is different if you've grown up in the world of, like, the camera's always on you. You know what I mean? Anyway, really quick, God, yes, Just Create More Conference.
God,
Where
yes.
would this be? Love the H&T Summit. I'll start packing.
All right. Well,
I want to go to your Vidsummit, Alt 2.
Alt 2.
I love this. So this is, like, side story, fun fact. Before Tom and I got engaged, we actually were planning to do an in-person event. And this is when we were so much smaller. Like, this was 2018. And we had planned it for October 2018, and we were going to do it at the little local theater here because he has connections to
like
the little
performing
art
arts
theater. Yeah, the little performing. It's like 200 seats, and we were going to do this whole, like.
I got connections to the 200-seat theater
we
in our small town.
We were going to do a whole, like, empower creators, and everyone's going to share their stories, and we were going to have, like, breakout rooms, and oh man, we had a whole agenda, and we have a podcast on this when you're like, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. We're going to do it. And then we got engaged.
And then the world ended.
And then, like, So we're going to do it. I don't know, at some point. Okay.
I wanted to see Gary's. Because when I was
Gary,
talking about
100%,
MrBeast.
we thought of you. Yeah.
Because I love you, Gary, and I know that, like.
We know that you're a MrBeast fan.
And that's why I was. But this is interesting because I remember you were really excited. Yeah. You got to, like, have a review from them. I was so interested, but you said the advice didn't really fit what you were doing. Not even that it was bad advice, but it didn't fit what you guys were doing because you guys didn't have big ideas. And I don't know if I think you were talking about your Edible Adventure channel. I don't know if it was your personal channel or not, but
I'd love to know more.
Like, your channel's great.
Yes.
And it's really fun to watch. Like, it's just really fun to, like, watch you and your cousin go have fun and figure out food and stuff. And it doesn't need to be like, it can be like, we went to this restaurant, like, Del Taco, is it good? I don't know. I love Del Taco. I want to know what you think about Del Taco. I don't need to see like.
Ate everything at Del Taco.
Yeah, I ate 80 Big Macs and I died.
I've been to Vidsummit twice. The networking connections, camaraderie, and the talks are worth the high barrier of entry. Yes. I mean, so here's the thing. I 100% believe...
Camaraderie is a good word.
Yeah. If you go to any place where there's other creators or creative people, like it's... People hate on VidCon. I have a great time. I love it.
But the downside to VidCon was that you are smashed in then with a bunch of middle school kids that are there to see David Dobrik, and you're like,
right.
I kind of like just want to go to a panel about whatever. And so that's why I've always been interested in the idea of VidSummit, is because it's not that. You can just sit down. Because the thing is, too, like, at a certain point, creators of all sizes, niches, whatever, have a lot of the same... If the ultimate goal and the approach to YouTube is the same, like you want it to be a personal fulfillment thing, you want it to be a business thing, regardless of other people's sizes, niche, whatever, if you're around other people that have that same ultimate goal...
You'll be going through the same things.
You'll take something away from it, yeah.
Instead of reading a book about how to improve things we already know we need to improve, how about knowing and learning how to be real draws people in a very effective way too? No? I mean, I'll tell you, I really think that like manufactured authenticity is mass appeal. I mean, that's why reality TV is a thing, you know, and it's just not my thing. So I'll say it again. Like, I'm not saying it's not a good way to go, but I don't know how to be any other way but me. I
think look at it this way. Instead of thinking that we might be like trash talking this other approach over here, it's more of just advocating for a separate thing over here. But this can still be over here. Like, it's fine.
It's not one or the other.
Yeah. And I remember when Steve Jobs came back to Apple, and Apple was going to go bankrupt until Microsoft stepped in and like made an investment in Apple to keep them in business. And Bill Gates was like, you know, teleconferenced in 1998 or whenever this was, and people were booing him on stage, and Steve Jobs had to like rein in the theater of people and like tell them to stop booing because they were being saved by Microsoft at that moment. And then he specifically said, for Apple to win, Microsoft doesn't have to lose. Like, they can do their thing here and we can do our thing here, and like there can be competition even. Like, of course Apple wants you to buy an Apple computer instead of a PC, but it doesn't mean that like you have to destroy the other viewpoint or the other side. So here's the thing.
Jack Huckabee. I would not say that. There are some great creative people that get super successful. Mark Rober, Matt Pat, even MrBeast are super passionate about what they do, and they make great videos. I 100% agree with you. Like, I'm a huge Matt Pat and Mark Rober fan. I love them. And here's the thing. I can guarantee you that the connections that are going to happen out of VidSummit are like new tools are going to be developed. I'm sure YouTube will take notes and like start factoring, you know, start like adjusting features and stuff to help empower creators. It's going to be awesome for sure. So I'm not saying that like VidSummit sucks or anything. I'm just saying that like, I don't think at VidSummit there's this, you know, this like, okay, if you're someone like me or someone like Aubrey who, you know, is very cool with the 100, you know, from 1 to 100, like, it's just a different approach. That's all I'm saying.
And it's more about if your approach is different from that approach, not feeling like you're doing something wrong or failing.
That's the big thing right there. Because if you go there and, because I've done this where I'll go to an event, and like I've had this happen my first year of VidCon. It was like I didn't know anything. It was my first year, and I was so excited to be around my people, but there was definitely like, oh, I'm supposed to do it that way because that's what they're saying has worked for them, you know. But if you don't know any better, you don't think like, oh, just because it worked for them doesn't mean it's gonna work for me, you know. Yeah. And it's hard to navigate that. What I've seen in my 50 years is very creative people sometimes struggle in the business aspect of business. I struggle on the creative myself. It's a journey I'm just trying to enjoy. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the journey is the destination. ultimately.
There you go. The YouTube channels that I modeled my approach is MKBHD, Matty Poya, Matt Davella, and Refined with by Tom and Peter Lindgren. That's the North Star for me. I love that.
And now, I mean, but now, like,
I love this.
I know for a fact, Raphael, that there are people who model their channels and their approach after you. I mean, I've modeled stuff after you too.
Guys, when I said to start beef with the other creators to grow your channel, I was joking. Dude, the last person I would ever want to start beef with is MrBeast. Because let me tell you about that army.
Mr. Beef.
Yeah, I would be canceled so fast.
Well, there's nothing. It's just my thing was just pointing out the, like, if you go to a stadium and you see a rock band that's like crushing an arena with 100,000 people, and then you think that your 2 people in the garage is gonna sound the same, like, you're just not operating. If you're fundamentally, yeah, you're all playing music, but you're just operating in very different spaces, and you can still have an amazing time doing your garage band and growing from there. And that there can still be really fun times at arena concerts, but, like, just understanding where you're at and where you want to go for you is important.
So, Peter, you bring up a really good point. My comment didn't have a lot of content. The position I have is from personal interaction with top owners. The disrespect is at an unacceptable level, not a low level. I have 3 friends that are over 100K channels, and all 3 have had bad respect and interaction with the big boys. If it is that fake, what can you trust and what can you not trust? Yeah. So here's the thing. Like, we met Jay Shetty, who has multiple millions of, subscribers and followers all around the internet and on his YouTube channel. Coolest guy ever. Like, it was such a joy, like, to hear him talk, and he was super nice. And, I got a lot of motivation and empowerment from his talk at VidCon, and it was great. Peter Lindgren is, like, at 500,000 subscribers, like, one of Tom's BFFs, awesome person. So I don't think it's like you get this, like, super inflated ego when you cross, when you get your silver play button. I'm sure Tom will be just as punny and down to earth once he gets his silver play button.
Well, I mean, I think if Peter's talking at an administrative level, like the people running the show behind the scenes, I mean, that sets the tone for, like, it's hard for me to not have an unease in my stomach in 2021 when your featured speaker thing is 12 people and 10 of them are white guys. Like, there's no awareness of, maybe we need to, like, switch this up a little bit. Like, and that, if that's what Peter's talking about, that comes from,
I know, but so much of the, because I'm thinking of it from the business side, right? Like,
I'm thinking of it from the business side.
Yeah, but I'm thinking of not the creators that you're going to attract, but the businesses you're going to attract, the companies, and they're just going to calculate, how many views, how many subscribers, that's what matters, who cares? And it just so happens, unfortunately, that a lot of the biggest creators are white dudes. Like, that's just, not unfortunately, I just wish there were more female creators that aren't just, like, 22-year-old Pearson. Like, no hate, but, like, I would, like, I know so many multiple million female creators. Like, there's that one chick who is deaf.
Okay,
like,
so
why couldn't she be there?
Talking about Mark Rober is a really good example of someone who
Down
had a
Earth
crazy
dude.
background,
Yeah.
started small on his own, started doing his own thing, and it just happened to be something that people loved, and he also knows how to do stuff that people can't do. Like, it's when you watch, if you'd watch a show, like a talent show, where it's not just, like, people fumbling their way through something, but it's like, I cannot, those videos where it's like the 3-year-old playing the piano in an amazing way, and you're like, I'm watching this because this is something that,
like, how
only this person can do this right now.
Exactly.
Mark Rober has that kind of a thing of, like, his brain, his knowledge, his experience, and then his on-screen way of communicating it.
Definitely only content he could create. Yeah. Road Rush Nation, what's up? Nice to see you. You are so right. We shouldn't confuse ourselves with these corporate YouTube channels. Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. They have turned into a company.
And that's not evil. There's nothing wrong with it.
There's nothing, but then it's also important to realize that even though the channel is called MrBeast and he's the only one on camera, like, that's a business. There is a business around that thing, and if he makes it look easy, he has help. It's not just him. Let's see. Everybody started at zero with different circumstances. Just know that those circumstances vary greatly and the outcomes can all be beneficial. Yes. Let's see. I would love for you to create 1 to 100 on handling YouTube criticism. I just got 4 to 5 videos up and people have started talking a bit negative, learning through it. Have you guys ever had big time criticism?
That is a good topic, because if you're really trying to go deep with your, smaller audience, cultivating that audience and that community, like learning when it's constructive feedback, when someone's just having a bad day. Peter Gregg's a great example of like someone who does a lot of live streams, and every once in a while people come in and are kind of like goofy, and he knows how to handle it. He knows how to diffuse it. He knows how to handle it. And if need be, he knows how to then just like shut it down.
Yeah.
In a way that doesn't derail things. But that's a skill. That's not something that happens immediately, because most people just aren't wired to react that way.
My short answer to this, I love the idea. And I think like I've had a couple of episodes, because to me what it comes down to is community building, right? So if someone comes in and is like negative, maybe it's not you, maybe it's that person isn't just isn't a good fit for the community, and like maybe it should just go or be hidden or something like that. So it depends. But Peter Gregg says, Heather, you do have something great to say. So having a summit for people who are normal, small to big, but with integrity.
Norm Summit. NormCon 2022. It's only for people named Norm.
It lacks integrity, more making its voice untrustable. I don't know when, but it would be such a treat. Like I would love to. I love
that Jeff is going crazy. He's like, am I in the wrong chat? We accidentally set it up to go on both of Heather's channels, so some of the chat... Yeah, so we can pull in comments from both streams, but if you're watching one channel or the other, you're only seeing that half of the comments.
Yeah, so that's why.
We should have just said, what are you talking about? Like...
Rob says, Disney, what's that? I watched them all. I was okay with them. I think they were meant for another audience. Padget Brewster?
Is it
let's see. So Heather, you are cute, adorable, and so on. But when you say something as profound as you have a 50,000 subscriber channel and you can't make $500, then you laugh and say, I just don't understand. That feels very frustrating to me. Do or say more than laugh and slapping your hand on the desk. I felt like something real needed to be said. Okay, cool. So we can unpack that a little bit. I am making a living doing what I love on, I have 2 channels. So cumulatively, I have like around 13,000, but I would say I can't say that. I was going to say most of my money probably comes from the 3,000 channel, which is not true. There are plenty of, my biggest client found me on my vlog channel. So, the thing that I would say is, if I'm generating like, the from 1 to 100. Oh, here, let me back up. This show from 1 to 100 is predicated on the business model of Kevin Kelly came up with the concept of 1,000 true fans, where if you have 1,000 true fans giving you $100, you're making $100,000, so you're making a living doing what you love, right? So his point is that it doesn't take millions. You don't need to be a Grammy award-winning music artist to make a living as a musician. You just need your 1,000 true fans to give you $100 a month. Does that make sense so far?
1,000 fans, $100 a month. That'd be.
I mean, 100.
That'd be real wonderful.
No. Sorry, that's the passion economy. So 1,000 true fans to give you $100, like
year.
over a year. Yeah. So you could do like a $10 T-shirt. Then you can do a little like they could do a $10 super chat, and you have $10 interactions for all of those
over
people.
The year.
Yeah. What the passion economy is, right? The whole from 1 to 100 thing is that it doesn't take 1,000 people. I argue it takes 100 very loyal community members. I wouldn't even call them fans. I would call them community members, because a fan implies one-way interaction where the fan is watching you, listening to you. You're the creative or the artist, and they are part of your audience. The 100 community members is two-way interaction. You're not a faceless fandom. You are a friend, a client, a customer that I know your name. And because of the nature of that boutique-ness, which is what I like to call it, you can offer a transformational product or service and charge $1,000, right? Or let's break that down into $100 a month, right? From 100 people, and you could make the same amount of money. And that is that's why I started this whole podcast, because that business model is what I refer to as the passion economy business model. Because the creator economy business model is, okay, we need to amass as many subscribers and views as possible, and then you monetize off of YouTube ads, affiliates, and sponsorships. So your money is coming from companies, it's coming from YouTube, it's coming from brands, it's coming from affiliates like Amazon. They are paying you. With the passion economy business model, your money comes directly from the people. It's the direct to consumer model, where we have a mastermind that's $100 a month. YouTube isn't paying that to us. A sponsor isn't paying that to us. Like Filmtopia, Ricky is paying that to
Thanks,
us.
Ricky.
You know, like it's Rob Balls of Disney Blog is paying that to us. It's coming straight from the people. And this is this is where I feel like the creator space is trending, and it's growing exponentially as a result of 2020, because people just had to take a lot of their offline transactions online. And so you started to see a lot of communities being built, because we had to go online for our human interaction, right? So Mighty Networks, which is the platform where we're building the Just Create More community, they are seeing a crazy amount of growth. And that's an example of a platform that will help you be able to monetize or create transformational products or services. So based off of that model, I don't think you need anywhere near 50,000 subscribers to make $100,000. Like I don't understand how you wouldn't be making that.
Well, I mean, I can kind of step in and go from I don't think everybody can, everybody has the opportunity to try to do that, but I don't think it's necessarily going to work for every single thing, every idea, but cutting back to Peter's point of the the Twitter comment where the guy was like, you said, I think you can make a living with less than 50 grand a year. And the guy said, I have 50 grand, or I have 50,000 subscribers and I can't even get food for a week.
Yeah.
That was the thing. Because we had talked about this before, and it wasn't like trying to laugh at someone whose channel isn't performing, but it's like food for a week. I don't know how much money that is. I mean, I don't know. We all, I guess, have different food budgets, unless he has an extravagant food budget. Food for a week could be $150, $100, from a 50,000 subscriber channel in a week, which is fine then if the channel's still I don't know, the channel's still underperforming. But the guy was a YouTube coach and consultant, and it's like, if there's anybody who should kind of be, it's like having your electrician say, man, you should call someone about that electrical problem. But it was sort of that context of it where, if anyone should be understanding of this, or, I mean, geez, why would you go to that YouTube consultant that doesn't even believe that you could buy your groceries with 50,000 subscriber channel?
Yeah, and
not go full time. He wasn't saying full time. He was just saying food for
the
a
way
week.
that I would tie that point up is, to me, I think it's easier to build a community, and this totally depends on the person. To me, I think it's easier. I think it's just 1,000 times easier for someone like me to build a community than it is to build an ever increasing audience. To me, it's if the challenge was build a business, make a living doing what you love, and be fulfilled and have fun and have the flexibility to work on your own terms. If that's the challenge, right? That's the thing that I want to do. I'm already doing that with nowhere near 50,000, right? And again, it totally depends on the person. if you want to do the Vidsummit MrBeast, more traditional creator economy, go right ahead. Like, that's totally cool. But I'm advocating for, like, if you approach YouTube as YouTube can work for you versus you working for YouTube, or YouTube is a means to an end rather than the end goal, it's just a different approach. So there you go. I hate Del Taco so much. I think this is the one thing that you guys have not in common.
I will never eat at Taco Bell again the rest of my life because it almost killed me. But I love Del Taco. And I've gotten food poisoning twice from Del Taco. But I still love it.
But you won't go to Taco Bell.
It was not as... I had to call the ambulance.
Gary says, I appreciated the advice and was able to take some things from it, but most of their comments were like, I don't get this. We review food. We eat food. We're not trying to buy 100 tacos.
I mean, which is crazy because it's like food YouTube is a thing. Like food reviews, food channels, food-based things. It's very much a thing. So
Jack is here. MrBeast at one time was a small creator that made videos in his room, and he never gave up, even after years of not getting views, and then he blew up. Yes, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, you can't argue that he put in the hours.
I will never hate on MrBeast. I will never say that that he didn't put in the work to get to where he is, for sure. But also, it goes back to, like, Tom put in the work, Peter put in the work, Peter Lindgren, and Peter Lindgren's at 500,000 subscribers, and Tom's at 75.
To me, it's less about that, and it's more about just it is I guess, to kind of build on that. It's the expectations of like just because you do that doesn't mean you will get those results.
Right.
And I when MrBeast is positioned as the expert at something, that's when I think people can then get the idea in their head that maybe if they do things exactly his way, they will get his results. And I think that can be harmful because it's not necessarily true. There's good lessons to learn. Like,
yes, there's great takeaways.
I read the YouTube formula. Like, I thought the diagrams of like positioning YouTube thumbnails and stuff was totally brilliant. Like, there's really good stuff in there that is just good advice for building a YouTube channel. But it's also just, there's also the thing when someone reaches a level of success, like if you're struggling to get 1,000 subscribers because you want to monetize your channel, and you talk to someone who has 300,000 subscribers, they're going to tell you, don't worry, man, you're going to get it. Just do it. Just do your thing. Because it happened to them, because it was so long ago, they don't remember it. They don't remember what it felt like to be stuck at 400 and going like, I just want to get this goal.
I don't think we literally know somebody who makes $20,000 off of YouTube ads in a month. It's a completely different world.
But they don't even have they have a bigger channel than either of us, but it's not even the largest YouTuber we know or anything.
It's nowhere. It's not that large, right? It's a large channel, but $20,000 just off of YouTube ads in a month. That person giving us YouTube advice, it's just different. Like, it's not even applicable.
But even in that case, they're like, I don't know why this is happening, because people always say YouTube ads suck. So it's like, sometimes you just got to go with it. If it's working, it's working.
Yeah. Filmtopia, I plan on negotiating a deal to bring the first YouTube watch parties to Disney Plus. Then you shall not have to shut the app off, Tom.
I mean, I love Disney Plus. I was just like, I was so excited for this thing, and it just became... I was so used to the higher quality of YouTube, honestly.
I have a hard time. What's up, Amir? I have a hard time making videos on my own. After being comfortable with a team setup, I became reliant on my own system. Now my system feels broken and production of new videos has stopped.
Yeah.
We were wondering where you were. Yeah. I don't know.
I've never had a team, so I can't say.
I was going to say, I've only done my own stuff. Let's see, Bailey, this is such an insightful conversation, guys.
Unfortunately, I gotta go to school.
Go to class.
Yeah, school's important.
First VidCon for me was 2017.
Sorry, Rob's comment.
MrBeast is the Taylor Swift of Beyonce's.
There's so much to unpack in that comment.
I feel like that's a whole episode, and I'd love for you to be the co-host of that episode, Rob. I have a hard time listening to anyone that comes off as a used car salesman. No offense to used car salesmen. Let's see. Jeff, there are bad actors in all lines of work. Thankfully, my experience with 1 million plus creators has been overwhelmingly positive. MKBHD, Jonathan Morrison, Super Saf, iJustine, etc. Maybe tech YouTube is different.
If anything, I think tech YouTube is different because it's a
I
very.
love your perspective, Jeff. Thank you so much for chiming in
I think,
and sharing this because
but tech YouTube, I've only interacted with Jonathan Morrison from there, but he's like.
So who's in tech YouTube?
Like all these people, like tech related YouTube, you know.
Oh,
But
they're positive.
They're positive, helpful people. A lot of those people though, like, have been around for 10
like
years.
MKBHD
But I mean, like,
grew up on YouTube.
He and iJustine, I mean, they were starting at roughly the same time.
Yeah.
So it's like they've been in each other's spheres forever. Like they can't be mean to each other, and they also, like, I don't know, somehow they've just, part of their success is probably the fact that they're able to stay grounded and sane.
Is this like the Jay Shetty? Or is this a different Shetty? Walked into his office the next day and fired everybody. There's more to the story, but does that affect your opinion, or do you just put that aside? I'm close friends with 2 of those fired.
So I've heard stories.
Of Jay Shetty?
I've heard stories. I've watched videos.
Really?
But all I had to go off with was our one interaction, which was positive.
Yeah. That makes me so sad. Yeah, that I definitely... So, like, here's an experience. I love Philip DeFranco. I have been watching Philip DeFranco for years, okay? Like, every day. And then, what's her name? Taylor, I forget her name.
Swift.
No.
You would never
The
forget
New
Taylor
York
Swift.
Times writer that
Lautner.
covers...
no, that's the one from Twilight.
Lorenz. She covers the creator economy, and then she wrote about MrBeast, and for some reason PDF took it as like a hit piece, which just objectively, because I'm not a fan of MrBeast, not that I don't like him, but I'm not like a subscriber to him. Yeah, I'm indifferent. And I read it and I was like, isn't that a hit piece? And that made me feel differently about Philip DeFranco. And I totally stopped watching him. I still watch every now and then, but like I definitely don't have the you know, and maybe this is because we're older, like we're, you know, I think that there is such a thing as a creator's responsibility to the content that they're putting out. I respect Tom so much for your ethics statement and being transparent and putting that out there. I think that authenticity and transparency is such an important part of building a personal brand, and YouTube is so personal brand centric. So yeah, 100% that would affect how I feel about it.
To me, it goes back to the thing. Which...
Also, Ken Young, hello, I'm very excited to talk to you. Another journalist.
It goes back to, what was I gonna say? Like, I think of this in music all the time because, you know, musicians and artists sometimes have sordid lives, to say the least, but they can make really great music. And there's some people who are like, or even actors, actresses, whatever. And there's some people who are like, who cares? Like, think of Tom Cruise. Has made questionable decisions in his personal life, but has also made really good movies. And some people are like, I don't care what the person does in their personal life. Their performance here is amazing. Their music here is amazing. The stuff they're creating is really, really good. I can separate the creator from the product. And some people can't do that. I can't do that. So when somebody, you know, when I find out those things, it really does then affect.
Yeah.
Which is why I get scared sometimes to like dig a little too deep because I don't want to find out. And that's why stuff like my favorite band, the Aquabats, not just because I like them and they're goofy and stuff, but when I met them for the first time as a 16-year-old and they were unbelievably nice to me, not just saying hi.
Exactly the same. Yeah.
I mean, they hung out with us before a show for like an hour or more and like constantly came out to check on us, just me and my friend, not like other people, not an event. I was like, oh yeah, I love you forever because you're doing something I admire and you're able to continue to be a nice person while you do it.
Yeah, and like I don't know how we're getting lucky, but Tom and I are on this streak of like meeting YouTube friends in real life, and we just met Jared last Saturday, exact same person, you know, and I think he would be able to say that we're exactly like this.
We met him on our yacht and we were all drinking mimosas.
Like, we're just us. I don't know how to be any other way. So there you go. Also, first time on the stream, Tom looks handsome live.
Thank you. You must have the handsome filter turned on.
Let's see. Jeff says, watching Roberto Blake's videos on diversification of revenue streams helped me greatly. I laid the groundwork early, and 4 years and 50,000 subscribers later, it's been life-changing.
That is like such common
Jeff,
advice,
I
but
need to get you
it's
on-
like the most important advice.
I need to get you on from 1 to 100. You need to be a guest. I'm gonna I'm gonna shoot you a DM.
But the struggle with that I'm having, because I agree 1,000% with that, and I think you said 14, but I think I'm up to close to 20 revenue streams now. Problem being is that when YouTube is the net that like the funnel that puts everything towards those streams, and then YouTube underperforms even your stream that you're like, hey, this is an unrelated thing, but the YouTube exposure is how people would find out about it. That's where it's like, oh dang, like, do I gotta start a blog or something? Like, what do I do?
For me, I make more money with 200 subscribers than I do with over 30,000 subscribers. That's why that sentence was so interesting. Thanks for expanding on that topic. MrBeast is cool, not including him in my rant.
I want to see the MrBeast Peter Gregg collab.
Oh my god, that would be pretty epic. I think that would be the only MrBeast video.
Oh, look, there's Jeff. He's explaining that.
99% of my job at vidIQ is managing the expectations of creators.
Well,
See, that's why we need to talk.
Well,
because...
go to Team YouTube on Twitter and just read, because they'll post something like, "It's Friday. What are you making this weekend?" And the first comment is like, "Why did you not monetize my channel?" Like,
blah, 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 blah.
I have been. Why did I get a copyright strike? And why this and why that? And it's just them repeating the rules over and over again, with more patience than I would ever have.
What's your take on this? Peter versus Tom. Peter has more videos and he was making 3 a week for a year, and that's what was rewarded with subs and impressions.
Not when we took off. We were exactly the same.
Yeah. And you guys have compared this.
Yeah. Afterwards, though, Peter...
Fed the momentum.
Well, the types of videos, though. Peter got more of a target quicker. So we had the same number of videos at the same amount of time, but... Mine, you could see the journey of like, is this a vlog channel? Is this a this? Is that? Whereas Peter was like, it's this, and then he kind of like honed in more quickly. 100% that made a difference. And the bigger thing that made a difference, because even he was like, I forget which video it was that took off first, but it wasn't like he published the video and it took off. It was one of the ones that had been sitting around for a while, suddenly took off. And he was just ready to like, he understood what was special about that, and then what those people would want to see next. And he burned himself to the bone for like a year of just like next thing. And he knew like this person's going to want to see this, then they're going to see this, and they're going to see this. And that, I mean, that's how it wasn't just an initial bump, but he sustained it for like, I mean, he's still going, you know?
Can we scoot forward? There we go. Sorry, so like the camera I'm using does not have autofocus, and if we lean too far, it'll start to get blurry.
It's designed for like a one-person setup.
Yeah. Let's see. Just catching up here. Love Tom's point. Lots of talk about diversifying revenue, but not enough about diversifying your attention sources.
Which is tough too, because there's certain things where it's just like, you know, some people are cut out for TikTok, and some people just aren't in terms of.
Yeah, dude.
I know anyone you could strategize and spend a weekend figuring out how to take your long form thing and condense it down to a minute long, whatever. But you know, some people it's just like they're just naturally fit in different formats and mediums, so it is hard.
This we need to talk, John, because you should be able to get in there. Actually, wait. Amazon influencer is different from Amazon affiliate, which I don't think you need to do Amazon influencer. Just do affiliate, and that's good enough. We'll talk. Hit me up in the Just Create More community. All right. How do you guys deal with lower viewer numbers when streaming? I understand that some months viewers have school and stuff, but the lower monthly average number somehow bothers me still.
I mean, that's one of the things we were kind of talking about. My strategy is to check yourself and go like, well, am I slacking off? Am I making bad videos or doing a bad stream? You know, if you're still feeling like I'm doing a great job, I'm happy with what I'm making, and you feel like it is the platform, I think just remembering, I'm telling this to myself too, remembering that the people who are there, that's a valuable thing, and stay the course and just hope that, you know, it's like those graphs where there's peaks and there's valleys, and if you're really close and you're in a valley, you're like, everything is going down, but then if you zoom out and it still has the overall upward trend, you know, just hope that that's the case, and only time will tell. But like, you just keep doing the best thing you can do, the best way you can, and then just see what happens. If you have a bad month or two, it is what it is. If you have a bad year, then that might be like, well, now I gotta change something.
Something's up, yeah.
But
Kirk, what's up, Kirk? I tell folks
Hey.
to start unsure. Narrow down your content to the nexus of your 3 favorites, and as you move your feet and start seeing open doors, begin to niche down.
The start seeing open doors is good because you can't predict that a lot of the time. Like, you can kind of go in a direction, but you can't see what's going to happen.
Oh, wow, this is so nice. I love this channel. No joke. I think it's my main inspiration to do this business. Most real set of people I've seen. Awesome. Wow.
That's so nice.
That's nice.
We'll have to talk about that when we're on our yacht later with our servants and stuff.
Servants? You can call them servants.
I'm sorry, I don't know the terminology. The yacht. I don't know what they would call them.
Patricia, that is the tricky part. Trying to duplicate those videos that take off, figuring out what I did right. Yeah. But a lot of it, though, like... See, this is why So, for the videos on my tutorial channel, which is Heather Ramirez, I put the same amount of effort and heart and soul and strategization, and I care about every single one of those videos. I put the same amount of effort, right? And there are some videos that take off and there are some videos that don't, and I refuse to let YouTube tell me how to feel about them. You know? But I totally get that, like, if YouTube is working for us, right? And each one of our videos is a marketing robot in our marketing robot army. Of course, we want to go to each robot and be like, are you optimized to be able to,
you know, firmware updated?
Yeah. Is there something that we could do with each one of these videos? I get that. So I don't know what my point is there, but.
Well, I think, yeah, I don't need to go into it. Yeah.
Let's see. You see the Vidsummit email that just went out? They added some more white dudes. But hey, at least one is Canadian, so that's diversifying, right?
International panel. I think there were already some Canadians on there.
Let's see. I work for Google. That's what my taxes say, but not sure about YouTube.
There you go. Charles is here.
Hello. Josh, I find that people I know who want to blow up quick, make these silly videos appealing to young ones, are the ones who blow up, however, don't make much money from it. I have a mate who is building a Supra and has 890,000 in TikTok just by running to the parts store he buys and adding stupid sounds to it. This is what holds me back because I don't want to be that person.
And I think what's really important is to just recognize that you don't want to be that person. It doesn't sound like he's doing anything wrong. He's making fun videos about putting a car together. Like, that's not hurting anybody. But if that's not your thing, not feeling bad that it's not your thing, and that your thing could be something else, like that's.
And I think that what it all comes down to, the reason why I started this podcast from 1 to 100, the reason why I want to be the biggest passion economy business model advocate that there is.
You want the silver play button for passion economy?
I want everyone to think, like, when they think Heather Ramirez, they think passion economy business model for YouTube creators, or whatever that combination is. And the reason is because not only for so many people that I work with and that I know, and I've met probably thousands of YouTube creators at this point over the course of me creating on this platform for 5 years. But for me also, it was so mentally, like, draining and hard to think that I was doing something wrong, especially as a YouTube coach. Like, for me to purport that I'm a YouTube coach and only have 10,000 subscribers is laughable. When you compare me to Roberto Blake, who's like at 1 million or whatever, or Sean Cannell, or like these other Daryl Eves, you know, like, we are literally in the same category of like what we do, but our approach is different. And, you know, maybe at the end of the day, this is all just a selfish thing to like give myself permission to be like, hey, Heather, own what you've done. You're making an impact, and focus on the fact that like this moment exists. You have all these awesome people in your life that are super inspirational and like-minded and are all doing creative and awesome and amazing things. You have a awesome husband that you met off of YouTube. Our whole business is from YouTube. Like, you know, it really was just like, I don't understand what else I need. Like, what more do I want? You know, like, I want people to just know that you can cross the finish line and then just play there. Like, you don't have to constantly keep.
Well,
like,
there doesn't need to be a finish line.
yeah,
like, ultimately,
there is no finish line.
there is no spoon. But I was just gonna say, it's 4 years ago today that I left you that very first YouTube comment.
Was that today?
You sent me the thing yesterday.
I forgot.
Which also there was a typo in it that I was so embarrassed about. It said something like "we are blank," but instead of ARE, I was OUR, and I introduced myself to you as a teacher with a typo. I'm so lucky you replied, because
Stop. So if you don't know the story, really quick, Tom and I met on YouTube, and apparently 4 years ago today, he left his very first comment.
My very first YouTube comment.
Happened to be my channel. I got so lucky. And then the rest is history.
Yeah.
So I'll always love YouTube. And like, I'm telling you, YouTube would not be what it is if not for these huge creators, massive creators, events like Vidsummit. Like,
I think
they drive progress on the platform. I just want people to know that there's another way.
I want to channel my inner Doc Rock for a second.
Okay, let's go.
Because I mean, and if you see this doc and I'm wrong, I'm sorry, but the thing is, because he always talks about self-limiting beliefs, and so it comes down to, you can have frustrations with the platform and all that, but if you're the one that's in charge of, if, like you said, you get to say what your success is. You get to say, Aubrey is successful with 130 subscribers. If she is successful because she says so, she's successful. Like, you can't argue with it, because it is, and you shouldn't let the way that somebody else. It's super helpful to see, like, if I shadowed anybody for a day, I would learn something about a workflow.
Yeah, exactly.
I would
regardless
figure out
of
things.
channel size or
So you can always learn things from other people, but if you feel like because someone is doing something different, we had to learn this because we have a connected a wall between our rooms, and we approach the way we do our channels very differently in a lot of ways. And so we had to learn, like, it's not that she's doing it this way and I'm doing it wrong, or he's doing it this way, she's doing it wrong, but it's you get to decide what's right for you. And if you have a goal, if you have an end point, if you don't, if the goal is to just be able to keep going, like, all of it is valid.
Like, straight up, I mean, this is a whole different topic, but very quickly, both Tom and I think both of us have felt like we were doing something wrong because of what the other person was doing.
Mm-hmm.
So here's an example. I was witness to Tom's channel growing, okay? I started earlier than he did, and he is multiple tenfold bigger than I am. And when your channel was really taken off, I was like, who the hell am I to be called to say that I'm a YouTube coach? And I was like, why don't you do it? Your channel is 1,000 times bigger than mine, and like, you're getting all this engagement. My YouTube channel is sitting there with crickets, and it definitely made me feel like, what am I doing? I don't understand, like, what I'm doing. Luckily, I got over that, and here we are.
Yeah.
On the flip side, when we started talking about the passion economy, you were like, okay,
I'm not doing things right when it comes to my channel.
because I was like, oh, you only need 100 people, but you've got 70,000, and you work with sponsors, and you do affiliates, and you get, decent chunk
do a
from,
lot
like,
of the
YouTube
traditional
ads. Yeah.
creator
The creator economy stuff. And he started to think, like, oh, is it, am I not building a community? Am I not, I don't know, whatever. What did you explain?
It was basically that. And then also realizing too, like my channel grew and did well, but it was like, I couldn't replicate those. I couldn't be a coach about that. Like, I can talk about my experience, I can talk about my perspective, but I can't take that and replicate it for anybody. So when you're talking about, like, being a coach and stuff, it's like the numbers had nothing to do with it, because you could see the bigger picture of, look at these little elements here that are in play that could also be in play over here. Whereas I was like, I am just making the videos and putting them up and, like, replying to comments, and this is what happened.
Yeah. So definitely, like, that's the, I hope that's the takeaway from this episode, this impromptu episode of From 1 to 100, is like, there's not one way to do YouTube. There's an infinite number of ways to do YouTube. And if you are watching something or listening to somebody say that you should do YouTube this way and it's making you feel weird, like, maybe that's just not the way that's going to work for you.
Yeah.
That's all. There's no way to know what will take off or not, videos I almost did not make because I did not think they would be good are some of my most viewed videos. So just make what you like and views will come.
Yeah.
I agree.
Trust in yourself.
And here's Dan with the gem. I say it all the time. YouTube analytics cannot measure value.
Yes.
My lowest viewed series is easily my most valuable when it comes to outside income streams possibilities. Yeah. Same with this show. This is the least viewed stuff. The From 1 to 100 is like relatively new. So of course it's like, you know, and plus half the time I'm talking about something that like no one has ever jumped in here and said, hey, Heather, I know exactly about the passion economy, except for Gina. But like, you know, sometimes I feel like what am I saying? Because like, you know, I feel like I'm talking to myself, but I think that there's value here. I think you guys can see, okay, you know, there's value here. I don't know.
I like that. Analytics can't measure value.
Let's see. Marcia, I love you.
Wait.
You are the best of the best. That definitely
Josh's comment made me laugh because we were just talking about yachts, and then this is a true thing that makes us sound
I know.
a little fancy. How's the hot tub and the cocktails going?
So it's 117 degrees in
It's 120
Indio,
right now.
which is where we live.
Which is 48 degrees Celsius for you international folks.
It's hot here.
It's hot.
But we just got a hot tub.
Which, like, I want to
Mind
preface
you,
it going...
Our wedding was $300.
Yeah, it's
so,
an above-ground hot tub. We bought it at Costco.
It's nothing fancy. We're, you know.
But it's great. It's so... We just wait till the sun goes down.
But here's why
it's so good.
Because it was one of Tom's birthday presents to me. But the reason why I was like, I think we should get this is because we can't stop talking about YouTube. We just constantly in the kitchen, when we're getting ready in the morning, when we're, you know, couching it, winding down. First thing when we wake up, we just keep talking about YouTube. We keep talking about Just Create More. We keep talking, because what we do, because our work is what we love, it's easy to just talk about it all the time. And I was like, you know what? I think we really need to like also remember that we are husband and wife, and sometimes we just need like non-YouTube time and like just, you know, enjoy our relationship and stuff like that. And I was like, I think the hot tub will help us appreciate our backyard, be out in nature, you know, look at the stars, enjoy each other's company, all of those things.
We also we have a very lovely home, but for years now we've just sort of like had the necessities for that, the necessities to do this here, but we haven't done like quality of life upgrades.
Everything is a business. Like we get the new camera, but then, you know, yeah.
So it's
anyway,
not a woe is me, but it was a calculated, like, this is a worthwhile investment to, like, you know, relationship builds.
Let's see. Charles, I approach video creation with a different attitude. I film because I love to film and add my artistic twist, not to make money, but to have fun doing it. But also you could totally, so here's another thing. Just because it's an artistic endeavor that brings you joy does not mean that it's gonna be tainted because you also monetize off of that.
But it just brings up the point of, like, if you know what your goal is and what your definition of success is for you and what you're trying to do, then that puts you in a position of power to then, who cares? You know what you can focus on, what you don't need to focus on.
You two are wonderful. Marry already. You guys look so cute as a couple. When is the wedding? I know a very good wedding photographer, Peter. So our wedding was...
May 18th of last year.
And you can actually find it on YouTube.
We met on YouTube, we got married on YouTube, now we're streaming on YouTube. It's a thing.
Female creators with more substance would be great. A female of color would break the algorithm.
Female creators with more substance. So it's not just like, oh, look, it's a female creator, but like...
Yeah, like, you know what breaks my heart about Pearson is like, there is no... It's literally 22-year-old female creator from LA. Do you like to bake? Are you, you know, passionate about like,
you like to bake
science or something? Like even beauty is like, like makeup artists are artists, you know, like they take a lot of pride in that, but it's like there's no other identifying anything outside of 22-year-old female creator from LA, and it just breaks my heart. But you know, you do you. Let's see. Aw, cute.
They still need to get married. We just renew our vows constantly. Not every player makes a good coach.
Okay, so here's the thing. At the Heather and Tom, like, conference, we'll totally renew our vows. That'd be cute.
Wow, this is going to be quite the keynote.
Yeah, but I feel like I always want to express my appreciation for YouTube. We would not have met if not for YouTube. That's just a
I
fact.
thought you were going to say my appreciation for you, and then you said tube, and I was like...
Okay, let's see. Any tips spending the first check from Twitch and YouTube? With my first pay, I got the Rode Pod mic and some other gear. Was there a better way to spend it?
I mean, I'm a fan of saving. Even though I talk about buy this cool stuff, this is a neat thing, I'm a big fan of saving. If you don't have an immediate need, save the money for when there is that immediate need. But you can never go wrong. You can never go wrong with improving your light and your sound.
Aaron's here.
Hey.
I always get energized by this show. I don't care about views. It's always a boost of energy. Oh, that's so great.
Yeah. Peter said we need a YouTube free zone.
Oh, cool. May 18th, Haitian Flag Day. There you go.
Oh.
That's awesome. When you guys have a baby, will the baby be a YouTube baby? Well, here's the thing. We're not going to have babies. We got fur babies. And then our YouTube babies, yeah.
Every video we make, it's a little YouTube baby. Put its bonnet out there and send it to the world to get criticized.
Anyway, we hope you guys enjoyed that episode. Thank you so much. I don't know. I streamed to both channels. We're still going to do a couple sale tomorrow. But I just had this thing that I was like, you know what? I have something to say. And I know it's not on the scheduled time, but we're just going to go because we can. And thank you guys for being here. For Tom, for, this was not on your schedule when you woke up this morning.
It's okay.
And, oh my God, it's been 2 hours?
We went for a while. It's your longest episode.
I'm so sorry. Okay.
That was great.
Anyway, tune into the Couples Table tomorrow.
Yeah, if you want more of this.
Yeah.
And
Anyway.
we still have our voices.
See you guys. Good luck. Also, just shameless plug. Check out the justcreatemore.com community. If you're a passionate and dedicated YouTube creator, we'd love to have you.
You can also go to airfryeremporium.com.
Yeah. All right, guys. Take care. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.